live people and get their opinion. Cruise does the same thing, but an African version of that. And I found myself enjoying it because I'm an African girl. I relate to so much of the things that are being said in the video that got me hooked into this channel and watching this kind of content is this one where they say, should marriage be a life sentence? It is so juicy.
A friend of mine was hit starved to death just because of beans. That the beans was not soft enough for a man to eat. I've experienced coma, go 3 times. I'm telling you my life history.
I think all African countries is that we appear like we have moved on from the past, but then we have not. Our values are kind of traditionalist and European, Western at the same time. Like we are in the middle. You know how like Western people are westernized, that's it. Us, we have a mixture of people and a mixture of opinions, and I think that's what is causing so much like loggerheads and difference in opinions right now in Kenya. Is actually really terrible as I speak. There's like a lot of femicide going on, there's riots going on in the country because of how much death is happening. But this video is about marriage and divorce. This one is based in Nigeria, but this one will show you an idea of like the mentality we have as Africans.
It's not marriage without fights. Let us not deceive ourselves. This is a man that I know that, oh yes, he hates me, but yet he loves me.
You see, just the trailer is enough.
Your husband sexually abused your child and you find out it's true, what are you going to do?
The man will definitely be reported. Yeah. But that does not feel me that I will divorce my husband. I want you to get that back.
Did you just hear the madness? You know what, let's give it a chance.
Please signify if you agree with the prompt. Divorce is the only way out of an abusive marriage.
I can't stand abusive marriage anymore. I've experienced coma, go 3 times. I will advise separate, say like 2, 3 years, 4 years, and see the both partner will adjust. If it does not work, go for divorce. Let everybody say calm down. Then let's see who is the devil and who was the angel.
I don't believe that like divorce is really way to save a marriage personally, but if someone can abuse you in a relationship, someone can lift their hand up to hit you, why are you married to that person? What are you doing there?
Yeah, obviously I agree with both of them. Any kind of abuse is never right. I know sometimes people get frustrated or whatever. Physical, financial, mental, whatever abuse is never right. For me, physical abuse is like the top. Physical to me is also verbal. She said separate a few times and see if separation. No, leave, go. That person does not have any control over their emotions. That is somebody you cannot trust with yourself and even with your children. The next day he's going to be kicking you while you're pregnant. I'm just saying that's what happens. Abuse increases while you are pregnant. That's statistically proven. If somebody has been abusing you before, once you get pregnant, there's a higher risk that the abuse is going to get even more.
Divorce is not the only way out. Think back. It has not always been beating now. There were real good times.
Which good times? I remember why I was so pissed at this, because I know auntie here is she's genuinely saying there were good times. It's not just the bad times. To her, the bad times is the physical abuse, but there's good times where maybe he treated her. But no, that doesn't excuse. There's people who will give you the good times and the bad times won't be as bad as physical abuse.
You would definitely find a loophole somewhere. I hate beating, but no one is this.
Someone who will resort to violence, again, is someone who can't handle. They need to sort their shit out. They need to go to a therapist or someone, find other channels to express their emotions rather than hitting you.
You will not die inside that marriage. Amen. Go away. Stay separate.
The only reason I'm on this side is because of the word only. Divorce is not the only way, actually. Even legally, there's something called judicial separation, which means that you are legally allowed to stop cohabiting with this person for the reasons that you would ordinarily divorce that person. Because even when you go to the courts, the first thing they ask you as a legal practitioner is, have you advised the clients on reconciliation?
Let's start with Africa and how we think about marriage. You see, the fact that this woman has been hit is not enough for a court. I think this guy is a lawyer. So even if your man is hitting you, you can't just divorce him by law. The court asks your lawyer whether the lawyer has advised you to first think about reconciliation. So tell him to apologize, resolve this in-house before you can choose divorce.
If there is any chance that the parties will reconcile, the courts would stop that proceeding to tell you, go and...
So when someone is being abused, they're already being manipulated. If someone has been in an abusive relationship for a long time, they already feel guilty, they're already in a small space. For them to find the voice to say, okay, I can't handle this anymore, I need a divorce, go to a lawyer, go to the court, it takes a lot of bravery. But when the court says, have you tried reconciling or try thinking of reconciling, the lawyer, the judge, everyone present knows that this man is hitting you, but they are still asking you to think about staying with them. And if you say yes, I'll stay with them, they're like, okay, go and reconcile. So you know this man poses a danger to this woman. If you are just dating somebody, this will not be the court's business. If you are just dating somebody, you pack your clothes and you leave. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Once you sign that piece of paper, people are like, oh, marriage is just a piece of... It's not just a piece of paper. It's between you, God, your family, the court, the whole country. Before you are released from that marriage, you need to have proved that you deserve to live that, especially in Africa.
Not aimed at actually separating people. The whole concept of divorce happens when the marriage has broken down irretrievably. Same time, there should also be attempts to protect the party being abused. There are laws that protect.
Auntie is just nodding, but she knows.
Persons Prohibition Act. Lagos State has adopted the domestic violence law as well. That can give you protective orders while you're separate from this person. And in this moment, it is left for that person to now prove that he is no longer a threat. Also, there's been so much focus on physical abuse. Abuse can be psychological, it can be sexual, it can be financial. It's not just the physical abuse.
They will first get you down to a level where they know if I hit her, she won't go anywhere, and then they will hit you.
The courts in one of the cases said a dropping water melts away the stone. It might be minor acts which in themselves they do not.
This man is actually saying the opposite of what she's saying. She's just agreeing with everything he's saying.
My name is Fisayo. I'm 28. I'm pro-divorce because I think divorce is rather a solution to a problem.
I'm just going to start with this. I'm not
Hey.
a therapist, but I can't prefer a solution as to what anyone should do. I'm still quite young. But I'm going to say that at the end of the day, we've convinced ourselves that divorce is the cure-all answer to it. And it's really wild because based on the data, the people who have divorced and gone into second and third marriages have way less chances of it succeeding. It's 67 for
So you should stay in a relationship where someone hits you, because if you get it, because there's a 67% chance that your second or third marriage will fail. So just stay in the one where you are getting beat up, the one where you have no voice, the one where you feel weak every day. Because if you leave this one, there's a 67% where the next one will be even worse or will fail, because you are now already a divorcee. Who has told you I want to go and get remarried? But you know, again, he said he's young, so he doesn't know much. Let me educate you instead. These statistics, they're rubbish.
and 73 for third marriages. Even when we're not talking about abuse, people just think it's normal. People just think, I mean, it's degeneracy to society. The analogy I love to use is, imagine society like a body, like a human body, right? And the family is the cells of that society. When you begin to break it off one by one, it causes, you don't know the effects.
Society is not a body, and cells are not family units. People get divorced for a reason. You can't say get married in order to keep society intact.
Having a conversation, because before the two of you got married, you courted, you saw those signs. What happened? You were in love, you just ignored the signs. Continue ignoring the signs now. Why did you have to? No, that is, hold on. you didn't see the signs, and nobody can say they did not see even the slightest.
I agree with this man. Somebody who's abusive doesn't become abusive overnight. People who shout at you, who abuse you, they always apologize afterwards, and they make you really feel like you should forgive them because they act like they're really sorry.
I have been there. I have been abused. What did I do? I called my partner. What's going on? What's happening? Why is this thing happening? We had the conversation. You can't just say, oh, divorce is going to solve the issue just like that. It doesn't.
Does it not? Someone abuses you while you are married, you divorce them. Problem solved.
That this was not soft enough for a man to eat.
This woman's friend was murdered because of beans. But obviously it's because this man had very little respect, had been abusing her for so long that he didn't feel the need. And I guarantee you, this man is not in prison.
Argument started. Okay, let me go and cook it more. He said, why is it taking so long? Just for the woman to say, it's beans. You allow it to solve, and he said it's too strong. Wow. Started punching the woman. She retaliated to save her life. The next thing the man did, he picked a bottle beside him. A pregnant woman would
Pregnant. I told you guys, if somebody is abusing you, there's a higher chance he's going to abuse you even more while you're pregnant. I know maybe he didn't know she would die, but the rage, the lack of control of emotions.
And I feel like the topic they've been using is too subtle for you guys too. You have it, child. Male
Yes,
or
I
female?
do. Male.
You have children, sorry, ma'am. Male or female?
Male, female.
Ah, beautiful. Okay, so like, we've been talking about physical abuse since, let's say for instance now, your husband sexually abused your daughter. Are you going to
God
stay with him?
forbid.
God forbid. Yeah. But it happens.
First and foremost, let me tell you the truth. I would definitely want to find out that thing.
No, if your daughter come and meet you, start asking her, is it true or not?
The first thing is you want to find out if it's true or not.
Find out it's true. What are you going to do?
You know the beautiful thing about that question? Their priorities. If I leave my spouse, right, what consequence do you think will be greater? Leaving that marriage is not going to reverse the emotional trauma. If I'm a mother and I didn't have any education whatsoever, I don't have a 9-to-5 job, I don't make any form of money at all, and I know I need that for financial assistance, I'm going to say, look, I'm prioritizing my daughter's or my son's future ahead of this abuse. This abuse, it already happened. It's a bad thing, right?
Well, I mean,
it already happened.
I will not stay because I know this man has a 9-to-5 job and he can support me financially, so my daughter should stay in an environment where she has been abused and see the abuser every day. And you think he's going to stop?
Get financial compensation from divorce. Are you going to do it?
You never know.
You shouldn't
If you
get
know.
divorced
No,
in
you only
situations
know when
like
you're in
that.
the divorce
The reason
court.
who is going to help the man? Like the man needs help, obviously.
So it is my responsibility.
Not that he needs. Assuming that's your husband.
I'm sorry,
That's
you're sexually assaulting my
responsibility.
child and you're telling me I should be
that is
responsible
your-
for him.
I refuse to accept that these people are real. I think they're just acting. I refuse to accept that there's people with such opinions.
I've started
is
interrogating
definitely
him. Have you
wrong.
been like this? Is this your first time?
So
Seriously.
putting him in jail, how does that?
I'll be at
That is justice being done. That's an abuser.
peace knowing that whoever assaulted my daughter.
Are you sure you'll be at peace, or you're just imagining that?
You will be very peaceful. I will sleep well at night knowing you are locked at you physically. You cannot leave that space and come to us. You cannot find us. I will sleep in peace.
The right steps that should be taken, because you're saying the emotional abuse has happened, you're right, but that daughter will grow up knowing that the mother condoned it. The best thing the mother can do at that point is to do everything to protect the child. If you divorce this man, you have a legal claim to financial support that it would be binding on him. So you saying if you leave, it would, no, that doesn't happen.
It's not always like that.
It is
It's not always like
it
that.
depends. And like I said, once you're able to prove certain things in court, and when you're talking about
The other extent where now you have to make her prove things or you stay with, no, your priority is protecting her. It's not finances, it's not what she doesn't need, or she needs to feel safe.
And it shocked me. I want to be sincere. He has answered. He has said exactly what I was. I think that child from the father is the most important thing at that moment. So, but that does not mean that you are divorced.
You have separated your child from your husband. Let's say you've moved out. Why would you not finalize?
If this type of incident happen, really happen, and you find out it is true, would you still marry that man?
I will still be with my husband.
If I'm a lawyer, I would sentence him to death. What were you even thinking of?
Do you know that time, the man is already separated from me? That does not mean I'm divorced from my husband.
But how will he suffer, Auntie?
And my parents taught me that divorce is not an option in marriage. For better, we die here.
It's a generational problem. Your parents have a toxic relationship and they think that's the way. They raise you by brainwashing you into thinking that is normal. The abuse that you live with in your house is normal. You get into a marriage where there is abuse and you also think that is normal and you pass it on to your daughter and so on and so forth.
Divorce should be normalized.
Yes.
Divorce is not the problem. You have to come and prove to the court that these things happen before the court grants you a divorce. So if someone has gone through these circumstances in life and has decided they are no longer willing to go through those circumstances, why should the society force or stigmatize them for making that choice?
Because they have not been in that shoe that you are. When I first separated from my husband, we started with separation. We separated for about seven times. Before I found out that if care is not taken, one person head will enter 6 feet. So it is better for us to stay alive, to watch
separately,
our children, to train our children, nurture them in the will of the Lord. So many people said a lot of things. Church came in, villagers came in, family came in.
Yeah.
You can imagine the trauma.
Something.
Maybe you're watching and you're thinking, I am exempt. If I want a divorce, I will get a divorce. The minute you want to get a divorce, then you'll realize you owe his family an explanation, you owe your family an explanation, you owe the court an explanation, you owe the whole world an explanation. That's why people end up staying in marriage, because it's easier to stay married than to divorce. You have to stand up to so many. It's not just your husband. He can be the villain, but everyone else will be expecting an explanation.
I find really unfortunate is that the stigma doesn't even stay with the man, it's the woman.
Yeah.
The man is most likely free to just continue his life.
Right.
It's the woman, and I understand because obviously she has children and those children are attached to her. But at the same time, I think
Yeah,
the society should be able
if you have kids especially, you look now like a baggage. So you have baggage, you're coming in with your own kids, you have been married before. So unless a man has been divorced and maybe has his own kids, so he understands what it's like, it's very unlikely that a single man with no kids will want to marry a divorcee with kids.
Generally, marriage is a contract. At least under the law, it's a contract. Under religion, it's an oath or a vow. Like every other contract, you can decide to pull out. Then you should be allowed to. I don't see how that is a problem to any other person.
Lost in society to think it should be normalized. You made vows on that wedding day. You made vows. Now, if anybody can divorce
made vows and
willy-nilly,
be
what is
beaten
the
her.
point? Children are the beginning of empires. Now, if you're going to be shaping them and giving them the example that vows are just protocol, I wonder what kind of parent you are.
He just said nonsense.
Take a look at our society currently, for example, how people are just diving into divorce with any little discomfort. I mean, it's crazy.
You can't dismiss somebody's emotions by just saying it's just a discomfort, put up with it, because you're not in their shoes. You can't say he's just shouting at you so you can't leave him. You don't know how it's affecting that person. It's not your business.
Manage, not even manage, like build. Now that people are saying we should not stigmatize, they should stigmatize them. Because if you don't stigmatize them, that is why they will feel very free.
Exactly.
If you don't stigmatize them, that's how they will feel very free to get divorced.
Hits his voice at you a little bit, or the wife did not cook soup for you the way you like it, you just get a divorce.
It's likely that somebody who's raised in such an environment, once she gets into a relationship and it becomes abusive, it's likely she will stay because she saw her mother stay and she thinks it's normal. Is that the kind of environment you want to raise your children? So you want to stigmatize people who choose freedom and who choose happiness and who choose safety for their children just because of the word divorced.
I'm telling you that if all churches, or if they can say, if you want to get married, go through the process of counseling, they can normalize that. Since you want to say they should throw marriage away,
Okay, see, that,
instead of
that
throwing
makes,
marriage
wait,
away,
that actually makes
If you have any reservations, please just wait. Hold on.
if you want to divorce, you need to go to,
but we are not talking
See,
about that right now. We are talking
it's
about
still
divorce.
the same thing.
We're not talking
Still the
about
same
that
thing.
right now.
Divorce
We're
have like
talking
you have like a long list of things you need to go through before you can divorce. When you
Okay,
have been
let me
abused
just-
or you fall out of love.
Some people just divorce because of
was the slightest.
For them to come to the conclusion that the only option for them is to get out of that marriage, it's not something slight, and it's not something that's light.
your soul be hammering on divorce with so much pleasure. I don't know. Maybe it's coming from a divorced home.
Auntie is being mean but very soft about it. Maybe he's not coming from a divorced home. Maybe he's coming from a healthy home, a healthy and happy home where he's seen his parents loving each other. That the idea of seeing somebody suffering in a marriage is just so scary for him that he advocates for divorce.
Those who are from a divorced home and they have seen one-hand experience of what
No, sometimes it's people who have come from toxic families that decide, if this shit ever happens to me, I'm leaving. But in her opinion, the only people who are divorcing are people who come from divorced homes. No, stop traumatizing your children. Get a divorce. Live separately. Imagine your child seeing you fight with your husband. Imagine them hearing yell from the other room. You two yell from the other room. You are creating fear in that child.
I'm a very stable family and I've not really seen or experienced divorce firsthand.
You can come from a happy family and still feel like, yeah, if I don't have this in my marriage, what's the point of staying? And that's what a stable family creates in you.
You think you can just walk into courts and
Bam.
So you can't just divorce like that.
That is not, you cannot even divorce within 2 years without the leave of court. And what that means is that you have to first ask the court, can I divorce? And they are
Are these laws everywhere? Is this like maybe this is a Nigerian? It seems unfair.
You can't just wake up and look at your wife, look at your husband that you love so much. We went to the altar and went to the ring, dance, do this. Said, you know they do again. That there is something. There is something.
Yeah.
That will make you to do that.
Me and this auntie, same wavelength, same WhatsApp group.
I would say it's not normal to divorce, and it's not also good to stay in abusive marriage.
Yes, thank you, auntie.
Before a man or a woman would do that, just cutting to this place. I will not say divorce is good and it's sweet. It's not sweet too. It's very bitter. Oh, I don't know how to put it. Look at it back and front before you do it, because it's not rice and beans.
If you believe in love and the two of you actually really love each other, there is nothing you cannot work out.
Yeah, actually, yeah. If the two of you really love each other, there's nothing you can't work out. And if somebody really loves you, they would never cause you harm in that way. There's disagreements. Yes, you're two different people. You're going to disagree because of one thing or another. That happens.
abusive marriage can make somebody divorce.
Yes.
It's not even on the top 3 or
You don't
5.
need to reach that
It's
part
not
where you
even
can
there.
divorce.
It's not even up there.
Yeah, we are not saying it doesn't have to be physical violence. It doesn't have to be verbal abuse. It doesn't have to be financial abuse. If you are not happy, why should you stay? But again, I'm just saying people do have disagreements, and you should find a level ground where you can discuss things.
Of January 2024, I think that's when it was released. It was a Forbes list. Domestic violence is there, but there are things way above. I'm not saying it's to discredit domestic violence.
First of all, Forbes list don't use statistics from every country. It's a world statistics and it's mainly in Western countries. Unless they say they did the statistics in Nigeria and that's what came back. If they did not say that, stop using that statistics. You don't live in the rest of the world. You live in Nigeria.
We have lack of commitment there, lack of education when your spouse is illiterate. We have substance abuse, so many.
So this is South Africa, but they cite the number 1 is lack of communication, number 2 is physical, psychological, financial and emotional abuse, number 3 is infidelity, number 4 social networks, Facebook, blah blah blah. So we can't really say it's in Nigeria, but I'm just saying among the top reasons for divorce is abuse.
Divorce part.
Of course, marriage is till death do us part. I mean, for
Yeah,
example,
it is.
whether in church, definitely the officiator would ask those questions and tell you till death do us part, and you say yes, I do. So
It's a promise. Promises can be broken, and it's a promise on both parties. It's not me saying, now that I'm married to you, I promise that whatever you do, I will put up with. Now that I'm married to you, you can do whatever you want to do.
Consciously and subconsciously in your mind, this is going to be, I mean, that's what I would think. This is going to be it.
Yeah.
It's death or nothing else. So
Well, he's putting too much emphasis on the wrong parts of marriage. It's not till death do. So let me just stay for until one of us dies, then I can marry somebody else. What?
Growing up, we were told that marriage is till death do us part. So I strongly believe in that.
Only the Bible said that he hates divorce. And also the Bible said that marriage is there do us part. But when I was growing up, I found out that 2 of my friends died inside marriage. I married at the age of 19. My husband started hitting me when my child was 4 days old.
So this person saying they were signs, they were signs. They wait until you are at your weakest. This woman is 4 days postpartum, the weakest of the weakest. I'm going to hit her. He hit, hey! And you want me to stay?
My auntie should know that. But I almost lost my life inside that marriage. I tried to make it work. It could not work. I seek for divorce. They said, don't go. It's okay. You know what to do. When the thing was up here, because after 4 times of entering coma, 3 days. The first one took 4 days. I almost gone. Why waiting until you die? I will make
3 times. The first time she got better, she came back. You hit her again, coma again, she came back. Coma again, she came back. You hate that person. Why not just leave her?
she married at the age of 19, if I'm correct. I would just like to say that I think,
Oh my God. This man is about to reduce whatever she said because she said she got married at 19.
Ma'am, but I think generally, with the data that has been presented, generally, that is the leading cause of divorce.
What?
I sympathize with people who get abused. I'm not saying it's right.
It doesn't happen every day.
I'm not saying it's right. Thank you, but based on the large number of divorces, it's minimal. If you check
It's
the
not even
data,
up to 40%.
What
in
is...
the data, 11 cases of divorce.
I know what he wants to say is, even if you are getting abused, you are just in the minority, so stay in the marriage. What?
It's from Forbes. The top 11 causes of divorce, right? Domestic abuse is on the 7th
Okay,
level.
and what's your point?
Lack of commitment.
And what's your point?
Domestic abuse is a bad thing, fine, right? But we can't use that excuse.
The thing is, when people don't have anything to say, they digress. That's why he keeps going back to this Forbes list.
You said Forbes. Where was the data sample taken from?
My point. We're talking about personal experiences. This woman's personal experience was abuse. Even if she comes in number 7 on the list, it's still valid.
Is it Nigeria or the whole world?
It's the whole world.
But if you look at the data in Nigeria, it's definitely not going to be the same in the US or in America.
No, but this is all over the world. As human beings, right, we should always think with something at the back of our mind, right? This decision that I'm making, there's a probability it's going to go wrong, but am I going to stick to my responsibility?
Victim blaming. That's it.
Am I going to stick with my kids? Responsibility comes first.
You know, she said she got married at the age of 19, so I still want to go with that.
I knew they would go for our age. I just knew they will use that as an excuse.
Teenagers are not meant to get married if we tell ourselves the truth, because they've not known anything. They are supposed to concentrate on their education.
The fact that she's insulting in such a gentle way makes it seem like it's okay for her to demean this woman's suffering.
Get married. You need to have a good and wide knowledge about marriage.
All of you who've gotten married while you are not teenagers and you have been abused, what is your excuse? Did you not have a wide knowledge about marriage?
Madam, Oga, go and stay separately for a while.
For a while.
Then start attending.
And then counseling.
Now, the period whereby we are doing that, it's a period, it's a time for them to have a routine.
Go and think, what are you doing wrong for him to abuse you?
I have passed through it, and I have come out from it boldly to now say.
And
that
did you get
divorce is
married
not the
at
best.
19?
That's the period you will now know whether you truly love that man, whether that man truly loves you. Forget about love. Is there a little sacrifice, just little sacrifice I can do for the sake of keeping your marriage?
How little do you have to value yourself to say you have to put up with the beating?
Same period that you are away.
He said you can go for
2 years,
like 2-3
3 years.
separation, which I have seen, I have done. Yet, instead of the person to change,
It becomes
start being
worse.
on fire.
If you leave and never come back, the next time he decides or he even thinks of getting married, his next wife will thank you, because once she threatens to leave, he's going to think, oh my god, there's actually a chance she will leave like the first one and never come back. So do justice to all females.
But as the law will have it, this is me here, 11 years.
Amen.
I'm still
Amen,
walking
auntie.
strong.
Do you know, I want to tell you something. It is
Sister,
simply
I'm
because
coming.
you got married
I'm coming.
at a very
Excuse
wrong
me.
age.
What about people who get married at an older age and still get abused? What's the reason?
Excuse me.
Yeah, don't demean
I
auntie.
managed this marriage. I did not just leave when the marriage
I'm
was
very
Yeah.
confused. What makes you think divorce would have
Please, can
solved that?
someone listen?
What gives you the right to look her in the face and tell her that was not the solution? You and your young boy body.
Listening, my love. We are listening.
I did not just leave. I did not just leave.
What things?
It was 2 years or 3 years. This was a marriage of 25 good years that I tried to push so that I can work.
Because
Instead,
you were married at a young age, so at that time you were already getting mature, so you were seeing the things that you now like, and then you are having friends that will tell you, oh, your husband shouldn't be doing this
nobody.
to you, and you
nobody-
were
I didn't
talking
take
back,
And
telling
this
not to
anybody
talk back.
advice. I would leave the marriage
One
when the
thing-
marriage
one
was
thing I want,
started.
ma'am, I'm sorry. Do you know
1
that
year.
inside or
please.
outside of the marriage, that man, if he was properly motivated, he could have still hurt you. So the problem is not the marriage, right? We have stalkers. Now, the stalkers, right? People, men that stalk women and women that stalk men. I'm not invalidating your experience.
I don't mean to offend you. I'm not invalidating your abuse. I'm not discrediting your. He's invalidating her experience. He's demeaning her experience. Once you stand up for yourself, they cower. They go back. He will never stalk you. He will never look for you and his children. He will hide because you stood up to him. He is only brave and strong when you are in his house. Once you have that strength back, he goes back because he is weak. He cannot stand it. He cannot look you in the eye again because you are able to stand up in front of him. So don't be swayed by these people.
Abuse, let's get that straight, right? But I'm saying, at the end of the day, people die every day. Even if they divorce, it's not the full thing. I don't know. There are many probabilities, many variables in this world, but you never know if divorce was going to solve that in the first place. She could have died. He could have killed her, divorce or no divorce.
What do you say to that?
Yeah. 2 years after, you find yourself doing better, communicating with your children, your relationship with your children is way better, financially you're okay, you're stable, mentally you're all right.
Will
Are
you
you
go
going to
back?
go back to the man?
Yes.
I will still go back to my husband.
I will still go back to my husband. Why? Tell us why, auntie.
She wants to explain to you.
Let me tell you why.
Cha.
You see, this is a man I married with so much love. And I got married at the age of 30 years.
Not
And then I
19
have
like
known
the
what-
rest. She's living proof that you can get married at whatever age and they will still abuse you.
I would definitely go back.
Divorce affects the children negatively.
Okay, yeah, it does. Nobody wants to come from a broken home. I agree, divorce affects a child negatively, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't divorce. Because a child can be affected negatively even in a home that has no divorce but is unstable, right? So it's better, it's like choosing the lesser evil.
I want to talk about the mental aspect of, divorce affecting the children. There is no marriage without fights.
Okay, there's no marriage without fights in terms of arguments. You are not going to always be on the same page. And actually, it's better for you to have arguments than not to have arguments. In my opinion, if you're always agreeing on each and everything, there's somebody who's always compromising. Arguing and fighting are two different things. We can have an argument like a debate and that ends, but we cannot have an argument like a fight. We cannot have an argument like a shouting contest. That's not healthy. But what's healthy is having a discussion. Sometimes, yes, it can get emotional, but having a discussion and resolving it with respect to both parties.
Mommy, go and beg daddy. Daddy, calm down. Daddy, go and beg. It has happened to me. Now, whereby the children now see.
Auntie's really she's trying so much to find a point to make us see her point of view and that she's on the right, because she's a victim. She's so entranced and she doesn't see what's going on in front of her eyes, that she wants us to see that even if he's treating her that way, she genuinely believes it's out of love.
I'm talking of children that are just growing. Talk to them. If you talk to these children, they will tell, oh, I don't like the way mommy and daddy are living separately. They will tell you the truth from their heart. And sometimes they don't even want to play with them. They say, this one, daddy and mommy are not together. Oh, what will she come and tell us?
Kids are mean. If it's not divorce, they are going to find something else. But inside the house, you'll be putting your child through so much trauma. You'll be putting yourself through so much trauma. For what? For people you see once or twice. You want everyone else to be comfortable, the society to be comfortable and happy, while you suffer inside your house. Is that fair to you? Is that fair to your children? It's not.
My child, as an example, I married early. I married at 26. I'm currently 29. I've been 3 years in marriage now. So within that 3 years, myself and my wife have separated countless times.
Countless? You have only been married for 3 years. That is not healthy.
And we've come back together. So those times when we separate, so when I go there for settlement, when I see my child, I don't feel happy. Like, I feel like he would have been living better if he was with me.
What children want is something stable and something safe. So ideally, he's right. Children need a mom and a dad in the same house cohabiting peacefully. That's the ideal situation, but it's not always like that. If it's for any other reason, that maybe it's you two, you didn't see eye to eye, or financially or whatever, it's your issue, then you can still see your child. You can still separate amicably, have a divorce, but still communicate and make decisions about the child. But if it's physical or abuse or anything like that, no, that person should not even come close, because they will start instilling ideas. Maybe they won't abuse your child, but they will instill their toxic ideas onto them. So I think they should stay far away from that child, and you should be allowed sole custody.
See, just the same way divorce affects children, there are children from like families that their parents are still together that are affected by that kind of marriage. Like, their children are begging their parents to go to divorce. These are things that I've seen firsthand.
If people are bad parents, that's on them.
The victim is always to blame. Always blame the victim.
How tender the children are. But if the children are grown up and they'll be seeing the beating, the fighting, the separation all the time.
Yeah, it builds anxiety.
Are not working well. Then they finally divorce themselves. It will not affect those children at all, because they have been seen like one person's life.
It will affect them positively because you've taken them out of that toxic environment. You shouldn't let it get to that point. But if you have and you found the strength now to leave, just leave.
after marriage?
Yes.
In my opinion, people change regardless. People get older, time passes, experiences change, you have new experiences, you change. People change either way. In marriage, in dating, in old age.
Honey, darling, see that baby, they will call you all sweet name. That same man, that same woman will enter your house, turn things around. Even me, I was so angelic. But when you get to a point, oh boy, I removed that angelic cloth. And God said, I wear that black clothes because I cannot come and die. And my children will not
In for good, or you're changing for bad. But you see, when it comes to the bad one, someone can be good and come into a marriage and meet a fire for fire mother-in-law. The person will change you.
You would definitely have to change some attitudes that you probably used to do before, but in marriage is no longer something that is feasible for the union. So those are like the everyday, maybe you wake up 10 before, but your husband goes to work early and you want to prepare something for him. Or maybe your husband comes back after work, he goes to drink with his friends. Now he's thinking, now I have a wife at home, I have to come back home early. It boils down to even financial sacrifices where you start to see the nature of your spending changing. How you used to spend as a bachelor is different from how you probably spend as a married man.
I believe change is constant in human beings. It's normal. Everyone changes. I don't think you even need to add it to marriage. With or without marriage, people are going to change definitely.
Me and this man, same wavelengths. We have the same opinions. You evolve and you change, and that's the healthy thing to do. Don't stick to who you are. Don't stick to those ideals that you had when you were 20 because you are somebody who never changes. That's just stubborn. You are allowed to change, but the way you change is what determines whether or not you're happy. If you change negatively, then like this woman said, I cannot stay here and die. I did not come here and die. Even me, I will put on the black cloth and you will see my angelic side walk out. Yeah. Oof. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, before you get married, think about it. Don't just make the decision. Don't just sign the paper. It's not just a piece of paper, as we have seen. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.